November 2nd, 2000. And now inside Dragon, you see Butch Wilmore on the far left. In the center of your screen, Alexander Gorbanov. Nick Hague on the far right. They will settle into their respective seats aboard Freedom as countdown clocks here in Mission Control are ticking backward toward the time of the command to initiate the opening of hooks holding Freedom to its docking port on the space-facing side of the Harmony module. That command to be issued about an hour and 55 minutes from now. The actual physical separation, when Peg is undocking for the history books, is scheduled at 12:05 a.m. Central, 1:05 a.m. Once again, you're looking at a view across four crew members, Butch Wilmore in the foreground, Alexander Gorbanov to his left, and then Nick Hague, just obscured on the far right-hand side of this configuration is Sonny Williams. Another perspective of Nick Hague and Alexander Gorbanov. Butch Wilmore is to Gorbanov's right. Essentially, you're looking over the shoulder of Sonny Williams, who's in the far left seat, if you will, in the seating configuration on the Dragon.
Final reconfiguration for Houston and Hawthorne teams are pulled down asking for you to confirm visors down and crew ready for undocking departure at the planned time.
Visors are down and we are good for undocking at the planned time.
Spacex copies, crew are configured for undock.
At the moment, the crew is suited up as they are during what we call dynamic phases of flight. And we did hear a call out a short time ago for the crew to go ahead and put their visors down ahead of the actual undocking itself. Before they depart the International Space Station, Linsdell Nick Hague is your Crew 9 commander. He was selected by NASA as an astronaut in 2013, and this was his second space flight to the International Space Station and third launch overall. He spent 171 days in space with Crew 9 and has a career total of 374 days in space. During his mission, he completed a spacewalk with astronaut Sonny Williams. That was his fourth spacewalk, earning him a career total of 25 hours, 56.
She logged 286 days in space on this mission. Sonny has a total of 608 days in space, earning her the ranking of second most time in space by a NASA astronaut. Former NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson ranks first with 675 days in space. Sonny conducted 2 spacewalks and has completed 9 over the course of her career, for a total of 62 hours and 6 minutes of spacewalking time. She ranks 4th on the list of cumulative time spacewalking by a NASA astronaut. Previously, she served on Expedition 14 and 15 in 2007, and again with Expedition 32 and 33 in 2012. She is a retired U.S. Navy
Who is also serving as a mission specialist today. This is his third space flight, and just like 286 days in space. He conducted 1 spacewalk and has completed 5 over the course of his career, earning him a total spacewalking time of 21 hours, 2 minutes. He's flown on 4 different spacecraft throughout his career: Space Shuttle Atlantis, Soyuz, Boeing Starliner, and now the SpaceX Dragon. Previously, the Mount Juliet, Tennessee native served on STS-129 in 2009 and Expedition 41 and 42 from 2014 to 2015. Wilmore is also a retired captain.
Hay saw the arrival of 4 visiting vehicles and saw the departure of 4 as well. The duo orbited the Earth more than 2,700 times. Before his cosmonaut selection in 2018, Orbinaut worked as an engineer for a Rocket Space Corporation and helped support cargo spacecraft launches from the Baikonur Cosmodrome.
Meter per second. Then we'll move behind the station. The series of departure burns will then put it on a trajectory to carry it below the station and on its way to a safe distance away from the International Space Station for its deorbit.
did hear that call out for the deorbit sequence start to begin here in 5 minutes. That call from the ground came from the core, or Crew Operations Resource Engineer here in Hawthorne, Mission Control just behind us, and that went up to Commander Nick Hague. He's going to be doing the majority of the communications during the flight downhill today through splashdown, and they'll be communicating with the core all along the way. Now, we did mention that they are flying on Crew Dragon Freedom. The naming of spacecraft has gone all the way back to the very beginning of this human spaceflight program. This is a nod to Alan Shepard naming his spacecraft Freedom 7 during the Mercury program. And so the crew that first flew up on Freedom a few years ago had the opportunity to name this Dragon, and they named it Freedom. That was Crew 4 that was the first flyers on this spacecraft. It's also flown for Axiom Mission 2 and 3, and then, of course, today for Crew 9 as well. And I did hear confirmation that that deorbit burn is underway. As we mentioned, it's about a 7.5-minute burn. So within the last 10 minutes, Dragon has jettisoned its trunk and initiated the deorbit burn just seconds ago. As mentioned earlier, for those operations, NASA and Spacex closely coordinate with the United States Coast Guard to establish a safety zone to ensure public safety and for the safety of those involved in the recovery operations, as well as the crew on board the returning spacecraft.
Dragon Freedom has not yet entered the Earth's atmosphere. This deorbit burn is what will line the vehicle up and put it on its final trajectory to the landing site right off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida. So basically, it is the last burn that the Dragon spacecraft executes and is what really locks it in for that precise landing. As you can see, as I mentioned earlier, Dragon is flying itself. So all the crew has to do is stay strapped into their seats and keep tabs on things. Though I must say, if I had one of those window seats, it would be pretty difficult to restrain myself.
Deorbit burn complete. Performance nominal. No closure initiated.
And while on board the International Space Station, Nick, Sunny, Butch, and Alexander contributed to over 900 hours of science and research investigations, which is really the key purpose of the International Space Station. Now, the International Space Station is celebrating a major milestone this year, where they will be celebrating 25 years of continuous human presence in November. So if you're younger than 25 years, you've never known a day where there hasn't been a human living and working aboard the International Space Station, contributing to key science and research investigations that impact our lives here on Earth. There's research being done on Parkinson's, on osteoporosis, on cancers and
poised to make its way back to planet Earth.
Next up, we'll stand by for the main deployment of the parachutes. The mains are quite a bit larger. You'll be able to notice the difference on your screen once they deploy, and they continue to ensure that the Dragon spacecraft slows down even further. As we mentioned, Freedom will be traveling 16 miles per hour when it splashes down off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida, here at 2:57 p.m. Pacific time this afternoon. And there we go.
We have visual on 4 healthy mains.
That view was from inside.
Freedom copy.
That view was from inside one of the buckets where the parachutes are located. So you see a great view there of the reefing on those parachutes, and as those main parachutes begin to deploy fully for these mains. Now awaiting visuals of splashdown. We'll start to hear Commander Nick Hague.
Copy 1000.
As we heard right there, Commander Nick Hague will be calling out the altitude of the Dragon capsule from here on out. Landing in water is simpler and provides more margin against unlikely parachute issues. You can see those parachutes continuing to slow the Dragon capsule down.
And if you're just joining us, you're looking at
800 meters.
a live view of Crew 9 just minutes away from splashing down off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida. Splash down 2 minutes from now at 2:57 p.m. Pacific. We do have 4 healthy mains really doing the job there. Just breathtaking views of a calm, glass-like ocean off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida. Crew 9 just minutes away from splashing down.
This is really such an incredible shot.
Copy 600.
That was a live view from our submarine vessel, Megan, which is stationed a couple miles away from the splashdown site. You can see the crew there cruising in their restraints as resting places for their arms. They were just in space moments ago, so their arms were able to float freely.
400 meters.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
Copy splashdown. VP main should cut. 6, Alex, Butch, Sunny, on behalf of Spacex.
It is an amazing what a ride. I see a capsule full of grins ear to ear.
And as you can see on your screen, we have visual confirmation of splashdown. Dragon Freedom has returned home, and NASA astronauts.
System safety verifications are in progress. We'll report back when recovery personnel are en route.
And we're in section 2, 4.800 plan response. Looking for your word.
Freedom, SpaceX, contract.
Freedom's got you loud and clear.
you have it. The side hatch is open for the first time since September.
We can see some of the protective equipment there that was brought into frame. That will help protect the edge of the side hatch. One from any potential damage. Oh, we can see the recovery crew over there taking photos of the side hatch seal. This is part of the standard operation for recovery. These photos will get saved into our procedure.
And there we do see Crew 9, some happy waves, smiles all around, back on Earth.
See folks on board clapping as our first member.
And that is NASA astronaut Nick Hague, commander of Crew 9. Now out of Crew Dragon Freedom. Some smiles, thumbs up, and a wave. Can't get any better than that.
Yeah, that is one happy camper.
Next up out of the capsule, we expect Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. First space flight. Spent 171 days in space alongside NASA astronaut Nick Hague.
So we're getting some cheers and clapping on board as Alexander is slid down the little ramp and placed into the again, a big smile. So we're getting our next crew member here. That is none other than Sunny Williams. Big smile, big waves. She, like her other crew members now, will be assisted onto mobility aid.
There we have it.